Hey everyone, welcome to another Reality Skewed Gamers video. I am Finity and today we are with our buddy Cybershark. Say hi to the people, Cybershark.
Everyone, apparently I'm Saber Shark.
Yes, you are Cybershark to Grande, and I'm sure if people see modding, the first thing they're expecting is Grande, but no, you get Finity instead. so, uh, there's a lot of things that have been going on recently in the game, especially with the latest Night Sister events. People have gotten some free mods from that, as well as the fact that Arena hasn't really changed its meta very much. So people have been focusing more on trying to get mods every now and then. You collect these mods, you don't change anything. So this is kind of a video just to show you guys how to update your mods. And it is essentially just a mod 101 video. It's going to be fairly basic. We're going to go through Cybershark's roster here. He hasn't changed his arena mods in a little while, and in talking with him before, I know for sure that he has much better mods than what's currently on his arena team. Plus, we're going to change his arena team a little bit. He's currently kind of in the high 100s, right? And you're looking to push into the top 100?
Correct. And I was definitely modding Cup. I was hoping that was going to be meta. That's why my mods are so bad.
That's always a fair reason to quit the game. All right, so we're going to look at his mods, but the first thing I want to do is kind of just show you guys some of the real basics about the mods. If you look on the right, I've kind of separated the mods into two different areas of 3 mods each. So you'll see in the little top, there's a square, a circle, and a diamond. In the bottom, there is the arrow, the triangle, and the plus sign. Now, the top 3 are going to have very limited primary stats that are going to be available. So if you want to see what the primary stats are that are available for a mod, all you need to do is go into either your mod challenges or your mod battles. And if you go in and you look at what the possible rewards are, actually it's a little bit difficult from the challenges. So we'll go through the mod battles so you can look at each individual shape. And when you look at each shape, it'll tell you what the primary stats are that are available. So if you look at an arrow mod, you can get a speed, an accuracy, an offense percentage, a defense percentage, health, protection percentage, crit avoidance. The reason why I separated the first 3, so the square, the circle, and the diamond, is because their primaries are very limited. So the square only gets offense, the diamond only gets defense, and the circle is a pick between either health or protection. Versus the other 3. So with the arrow mod, while more likely than not you're going to be looking for that speed primary on your mod, there are some other options and sometimes they can be useful. On the triangle mod, there's again a different set. Some are the same like offense, but this one has some unique ones such as crit chance and crit damage. And on the plus mod, you can get potency and tenacity as well as kind of the base of offense, defense, health, and protection. So that's just kind of the initial basics of the stats that are available on your mods. In terms of what it means by the grade and the stars. So the ones that you get from mod battles are 1 dot or 2 dot mods. And those ones will affect the benefits of your primary stats in particular. So if you have a 5 dot speed arrow, then your arrow will go up to plus 30 speed primary. Versus if you have, I believe, a 1 goes up to 17 speed. So you can see that there's a big variation based on just the stars alone. The grade of the mod, so you'll see that in mod battles you can only get A or E or D. But if you go to the mod store here, just to look really quick, this one, for example, is a B. And B means that it comes preset with 3 secondary stats. A C comes preset with 2 secondary, a D comes with 1, E comes with 0, and A comes with 4. Now, in order to get the highest increases to the secondary stats, you need them to be there already. The way leveling of mods essentially works is the first time you hit a multiple of 3 in terms of levels. So you'll get additional stat boost to your secondary stats at level 3 of the mod, level 6, level 9, and level 12. At level 3, it's going to check to see whether or not your mod has at least 1 secondary stat. if there is at least one secondary stat, it'll randomly pick whatever secondary stats are there and level it. So if you only have one, then obviously it's going to pick that one. If you have two, you have a 50-50 chance of getting one of those. And if you have three, it's going to be 33%. And of course, if you have four, it's going to be 25% that one gets picked. Now, this chance is basically reset for each level that you do. So now when you go to level 6 of your mod, it's going to see whether or not you have two secondary stats. If you do not have two secondary stats, it's going to add a secondary stat. If you do have two secondary stats, it's going to randomly pick from the secondary stats that you have and try to improve it. Level 9 is going to look for the third secondary stat, and level 12 is going to look for the fourth secondary stat. So that's essentially how the leveling works, and that is why the grade is important, because if you have a grade A, while it's still a low chance, you'll have a 25% chance at each level increment to level a particular one, and usually you're looking for speed. That's the only way you can get that particular stat leveled up 4 times, which is it has to be a grade A with that stat already there. If you go with, for example, oh, perfect. So if you go with something like this, which is a grade C, and you try to level this up, you know you have at least 2 chances of 50-50 in order to boost up your speed. So if you're trying to figure out whether or not you want to buy a particular mod, or whether a mod is worth leveling, try and figure out what you have as your speed, and then determine whether or not it's worth it to upgrade it. So this one is probably one you'll want to get. This is for crystals, so I wouldn't get it, but if it was for credits, it may be worth it in order to get it, so you can get kind of that speed boost, and you essentially have a 25% chance of getting that one up to like plus 14 speed, and a 50% chance to get it to at least like plus 8 or 9 speed. So it's a fairly decent mod depending on where you are in the game. So I think Cybershark, this is all kind of well beyond where you are. I know you've been playing with mods for a while, so we'll go ahead and jump into your roster now. So this is Cybershark's GG page, and if you guys haven't used it, definitely make sure you use swgoh.gg. Great resource. When you sync it to your account, it'll allow you to see all of your mods, which is the tool that we're going to be using here quite often in order to figure out where we want to do things with Cybershark's roster. And what we're going to do now is kind of look through his mods and figure out where we want to put them. And his current arena squad is a wedge lead with Biggs, Kenobi, Kylo, and Darth Nihilus. So what are you thinking about making your roster moving forward here, Cybershark?
I want to do something with like a Rex lead, Nihilus.
And figure out
Thrawn,
where we want to put them. And his current arena squad is a wedge lead.
Someone else.
So I think I was running audio or something here, so I just gotta fix that here. All right, so we're looking at the Rex lead, right? And Kenobi.
Yeah. R2.
R2. And then Nihilus and Thrawn.
Okay.
So I think that's a pretty good squad. It is, just to kind of go through here, if you go into your meta report, I thought yesterday, if you look at the rank 1 squads, that is one of the top squads currently being used. Right now, there is obviously a lot of CLS. So when you go to look at your meta report, you see that Luke Skywalker is a huge chunk. You also see Kenobi and then Rex. Kenobi, you do need, for the most part, it's not 100% necessary, but you'll see that most of the Kenobi leads are also requiring a Barris. For those of you guys that are looking at this and not really sure how exactly it works, just FYI, make sure that if you're using this in order to figure out your squad, you figure out and you can ask somebody that's maybe using the same squad whether or not a Zeta is necessary. Barris without a Zeta is relatively useless, so it may be something that you want to not do at the moment. Versus if you have a Zeta Barris, then she works pretty well with Kenobi. I know there's a lot of posts about the counters for it. So if you know how to counter it, you can still do it, but it's still a really nice combo to have Kenobi and a Zeta Barris, not a regular Barris. So Cybershark does not have, at this point, he doesn't have, let me see if I can go back here. So at this point, he doesn't have the Commander Luke. Commander Luke is the person I was looking for.
Really sad.
Yeah. So because he doesn't have Commander Luke, we're gonna not use Commander Luke when we're obviously doing this. So I have to reset this here. There we go. All right. So now we're going to kind of go through his mods and try and figure out what he has, where we want to put it, and why we're putting it in particular spots. So starting with just kind of going to his mod page here. You guys want to make sure when you're looking at mods that you're getting familiar with how to look through the mod filters. The mod filters are going to be basically your best friend, and it is a great tool that they've implemented in this. So what you want to make sure you're looking at is obviously the speed secondaries, but the first thing to do is to know what your limitations are in terms of how much speed you can get. So when you go to your filters, the easiest thing to do first is just go to your speed primary. Remember that the primary of speed is only available on the arrow mod. So you want to see how many different arrows you have with speed as a primary at 5 dot. And you may or may not have them all leveled. So you might want to consider leveling them if they're not level 15. However, I see with Cybershark, he has 3 5 dot mods of arrows with speed primaries. They're all leveled to 15, as well as 1 3-star that's currently leveled to 15. And you can see the difference here with the stars. I see you do have 1 on Kylo. You have 1 on Kenobi. You have 1 on Vader. I assume that's more for rating purposes that you have that 1 on Vader, or was there another reason?
I think I randomly put it on there because I thought I was going to use him in Rancor eventually, but I actually don't because he's not Zated. So he's just kind of randomly there.
That's a fair reason to put it on there. Which brings me to another point, actually. If you guys have a lot of mods, even if you don't think you're going to use them, stick them onto a character on your roster if you can. One of the things that will help you in territory battles is to level up all of your characters to level 50. I believe it costs somewhere around 160,000 in order to get your characters up to level 50. And the reason that's beneficial is because once you do that, you can actually put mods on those characters. And when there's mods on the characters, they will register in swgoh.gg. So you may have missed this random grade A mod of some set that you don't really care about. Let's just say it's a tenacity set. You have no use for it right now. But it's a grade A with the speed primary, or speed secondary, you may have missed it. So it's a good habit, especially with territory battles, to improve your galactic power, to level up your characters to level 50, and then just stick all your extra mods on there. Obviously, if you don't have enough space, that's one thing. This is more also for a free-to-play or maybe even like a Dolphin player who isn't farming a lot of mods. If you're farming a lot of mods, then obviously you need to be a little bit more cautious about what you're putting in. You want to make sure you're restrictive because you don't need to keep all of your mods. But if you're in a position like me, you don't have mods on all of your characters, so you obviously just save all of them and stick them on your characters. So stick them on your characters if you have extra spaces so that they can register in GG and you can find that diamond in the rough. I was working with Chrome Cobra, or not Chrome Cobra, Cybershark yesterday. And we found a few of those, right? And I think you ended up with 1 crazy high speed secondary.
I was pretty shocked after rolling a whole bunch of zeros, and I was like, whoa, this thing's actually pretty fast.
It's pretty cool because you just randomly find it and you don't even realize you have it. And that's kind of the fun thing about mods. You don't always pay attention to it, but you can find these little hidden gems every now and then to boost your squads.
I think he was like on my resistance trooper or some random guy I don't even use because I don't have a resistance.
It's on Cassian. And you don't touch your Cassian.
Cassian, yeah. Yeah, I think he's like level 53 with like tier 2 or something.
Yeah, so I'll show you guys right now. So after you do your speed primary, you want to look at speed secondaries, get an idea about what your speed secondary maxes are, and in terms of what shapes they are. So you can see that Cybershark actually has a plus 19 speed on his Cassian, and he leveled it up to 12 because, like I said, this was a grade A mod. Once you get to level 12, you max out on your secondary abilities. You need to get it to level 13 or 15 in order to get the full bonus of the set. However, when you're just trying to figure out what the secondary stats are going to go up to, you only need to hit the increments of 3 first. So either 3, 6, 9, or 12, whether it's grade D, C, B, or A, respectively. And then if you're going to use it on a character like an arena character, then you can boost it up to 15 in order to make that primary stat maximum, and you can get the maximum bonus. Especially important if you don't have a lot of credits, you don't want to spend where you don't need to. So you do the initial spending just to see what the secondary stats will max out to, and then you go ahead and move on. So you can see kind of with where Cybershark is. He has a plus 19 triangle, a plus 13 triangle, a square. This one is actually fairly nice, by the way. It's the plus 13 secondary speed arrow with the crit avoidance primary. There's kind of like the holy grail of arrows that people are waiting for, where somebody gets like a plus 28 or plus 29 secondary speed on the arrow mod, so then they don't have to deal with that in the primary stat. Because usually the primaries are going to be a lot better than your secondaries, but if you get like those bonuses, you can lift it up. A mod like this, for anyone that's looking, is a good mod for like a Baze. Because Baze doesn't really need a lot of speed. You kind of want him a little bit slower because he gets that initial taunt, and then once he gets his taunt, you want him to kind of hold it as long as you can. But you also don't want to save it. You don't want to keep him so slow that he can't go and do his attacks and then dispel the taunt. So usually he's going to be kind of your lower end of speeds, but something like this is perfect for Baze. And Teals is telling me I'm doing it all wrong. Thank you, Teals. So there is a diamond that has plus 11 speed. You have a circle with plus 11 speed. So you have actually a good number of double-digit speed secondaries. You also run a lot in the 9s, the 8s. So these are actually fairly good. If you look at what the mods are, or what Loki said in our last stream, eventually you get to a point where speed isn't as crucial. You do need to make sure that you're pretty much double-digit modded, though, all the way before you get to that point. And on pretty much all of your characters. So when you're doing this, Cybershark, keep on working on your mods. We should be able to get you some good progress here with these mods once we kind of get them on the right characters. Like, for example, an 11 speed on a veteran smuggler Chewie, that needs to change immediately. Just telling you, that needs to go, like, now.
Prepping for lightsaber Ray, man.
Yeah, is your veteran Chewie 7-star?
Or what last part?
Was your veteran Chewie a 7-star? I'm assuming he's not 7-star, so your preparation isn't needed for that character.
I know. It's really sad. Hey, by the way, so what would be like a good on a speed secondary? Like, what is the minimum to like kind of keep and use? So from a free-to-play perspective, so this kind of varies a little bit, but from a free-to-play perspective, I don't drop anything with the speed secondary. Even on my lower level characters, a +4 speed is enough for them for like a galactic war. If I want to use it, if I want to play around with it. Even mods without speed secondaries, honestly, I would still keep. It depends where you are in the game. So are you at a point where you can... I guess the initial question is, can you mod all of your characters? There's no reason why you shouldn't put some mods on even lower level characters if there's a chance that you can use them. Not to mention the fact that they do affect galactic power.
And like a 1-dot mod can actually be leveled pretty cheaply. And it's a very little bonus, but so I'm not saying necessarily to level it, but it is something that you can just throw onto a character, add 1 or 2 extra galactic power per character. So over your roster, it's like an extra few hundred. Probably not the difference that you'll need in order to get a star in territory battles, but it is an option. In terms of arena, you really just go with whatever fastest ones you have. If you're trying to change squads based on who you're facing, and I used to do that a little bit. I kept one set of mods that I would switch between the 2 characters rather than trying to mod one of them fully correctly, and then the other one with lesser mods, because then it becomes that the other character is just kind of gimped compared to the other one. So did that answer your question?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. So what we'll do now is review kind of what your roster is that you're looking to have, right? So your roster is going to, or your new arena squad is going to be a Rex lead with General Kenobi, Darth Nihilus, Grand Admiral Thrawn, and R2. So what you need to make sure you're doing is prioritizing the speeds on the characters that will get the most benefit. I don't know if you reviewed your roster, so just a little quiz for you, Cybershark. Which of those characters has the highest base speed once you max them out?
I'm going to guess R2. I don't know.
That is correct. So R2 is going to be your fastest character without any mods. And he's a good character to keep as your fastest character because in his first move, he'll basically stealth everybody except for Kenobi, because we'll make Kenobi kind of tanky. And so he will stealth everyone besides Kenobi, and that will get you kind of the start to your roster. So getting a really fast R2 in any R2 squad is going to be fairly important. Your next fastest character is going to be Thrawn. So in terms of maximum, once you like level them up completely, R2 gets up to 157, Thrawn gets up to 150 as his base speed. What you're looking with Thrawn is obviously the fracture is going to be critical based on who you're facing. But in addition, he does the turn meter swap. The turn meter swap with Thrawn will actually allow another character to essentially go before him. So, for example, if your Darth Nihilus is the one that you want to initially start getting the Force strains, start bringing up his Annihilate as quickly as possible, you could do a turn 1 swap with Thrawn on Darth Nihilus, and that'll be faster for you than if you actually give Darth Nihilus your second fastest speed mods. Because we're putting the first fastest on R2. So, in that case, your Darth Nihilus could then get either the third or the fourth fastest speed mods. You put the second one on Thrawn, and Thrawn will swap with Nihilus and make him go second. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I love that. Making Thrawn go, or making Nihilus go often, is like one of the coolest things ever.
Yes, it is. I love Nihilus. Nihilus's kit is really nice. It just sucks against Zombie now, because Zombie is just... Well, that's a different discussion for a different day here. So, that combination, I think, will work on making your R2 your fastest. Your Grand Admiral Thrawn will be your second fastest. Nihilus is a good character to try and get to your third fastest, so he goes more often. He does the Force strains. If you time him correctly, he can get his Annihilate out even faster if you use like Kenobi's lead the charge and take off a buff and all that kind of stuff. So I think we're looking at either Nihilus or Rex as probably your third fastest. And your third fastest, the reason for Rex is because he will give everybody turn meter. Now, part of this will depend on your arena shard as well. If your arena shard isn't, I'll say long-time players, they don't have a lot of high-speed mods, you could get away with putting Rex as your second fastest character. Rex has a base speed of 140, so you have a 10 speed difference between Rex and Thrawn. The thing about Rex is obviously if he gives everybody turn meter, then everybody else will start going next. But if your Rex is your second fastest character, but he is considerably slower than any other character on the other team, so then their entire squad goes before your Rex goes because your Thrawn isn't faster and your Nihilus wasn't able to force strain, then obviously that's going to be a detriment. So on your Arena Shard, how fast are other people's characters? Like, are they fairly fast? Do you think that they're still kind of developing their mods, or what is the state of your Arena Shard?
It's about a year old, and it depends. So like some of the teams, I would say we probably take turns. Like, you know, I'll go once, he goes once, I go once, he goes once. But then there's like other teams where the entire team will go once, sometimes even twice before I fight, and I will start off the fight with like 3 guys left.
Okay. So yeah,
answer.
And I think part of that, and then part of that is that your speed mods are still not on your correct characters, so that's obviously going to impact that as well. But it does sound like, at least even with that quick, that probably they have fairly decent speed mods, and so we're probably better off keeping Thrawn as your second fastest, because it doesn't appear that your Rex will be fast enough in order to have that impact. So we can go ahead and keep your Thrawn as your second. Then in terms of the sequence, you want your Nihilus to be kind of tanky. He doesn't have to be super tanky, but he does need to be able to survive. Obviously, your tankiest is going to be your General Kenobi. So we'll be looking not only for speed mods, but we also want to make sure his survival is as high as possible. And so Kenobi is probably going to end up being your slowest on this squad. If you were running, like, for example, a Zeta Barris, she would obviously have to be your slowest, and then Kenobi would be your fourth. So obviously different squads will have different priorities. Based on your Arena Shard, there's also going to be different priorities. But I think in this particular case, you're probably looking at your best speed mods going on R2, your second best going on Thrawn, your third probably on Nihilus. We'll see how that works out. Or we could put it on Rex, because then Nihilus will swap with Thrawn. He'll use his turn meter for his force strain. Then Rex can go next. He'll provide Nihilus with turn meter, and then Nihilus can probably go again soon after. So we might be better off with Rex as your third, based on kind of the sequence of events that you're trying to get at the start of a fight. And then Kenobi will be your fifth. That makes sense?
Makes sense to me.
All right. So let's go ahead and start going through what exactly it is that we'll be looking at, which are all of your different mods. Now, one thing to realize is that when you have a lot of mods like this, you want to make sure you filter out by each individual shape. And you want to make note of which character it is on, especially right now. So at the time that we're streaming this, just so you all know, swgoh.gg currently has an issue where if you try to manually resync your account, it's basically going to remove you from seeing all of your characters in your entire account. So if you're watching, do not manually resync your account right now, especially with territory battles starting here soon. And but normally, not now, but normally, what you can do is move mods from the different characters, mod one character, and then manually resync. You can manually resync every 30 minutes, I believe. You shouldn't need to do it that often. You can do 2 characters at a time before you actually manually resync. But just so you guys know, manually resyncing does help, and the way that you do that is you'll go in once you're logged in. You'll go into your settings. You can just unclick that box in order to sync your collection. You update, then you click it again, and you update, and then it'll basically resync your account. So what we'll do instead for CyberShark here, because we can't resync, and obviously we don't want to wait half an hour between our next sync, is we'll just kind of go through each individual mod, and we'll kind of figure out where we want to place them. Okay? So
so I was looking, at the guys on my shard. This one dude has like 109 in speed mods on his bigs.
Okay. So you definitely want your Thrawn to be your second fastest.
Right.
So yeah, so that definitely helps. We'll keep your Thrawn as your second and your Rex as your third. So what we'll do is, if you again the image of the mods on the right, I put there in that reason for a particular reason is because again the top three, the square, the circle, and the diamond, they don't have a lot of variation in your primary stat. The bottom ones, the arrow, the triangle, and the plus sign, they do have variation in primary stat, and primary stat can play a factor in what character you're putting the mods on. Speed, however, is still going to be basically the critical factor. So you still want to make sure you're sorting by secondary speed, but the primary stat on those bottom three mods on the right side there are going to be important. So we'll start with the ones at the top. So in order to look at just the square mods, in this top part here where you can go through your different mods, just select the transmitter or the square, keep your speed secondary selected, and just apply the filter. So once you do that, you can now see all the plus mod or the square mods on all of your different characters and how much speed that you have. Okay, so you'll see that the one that you have on Stormtrooper Han has plus 13 speed. One thing that I've seen people commenting on, and it's not lost on me, I've talked to Cybershark about this before, is that right now he does have pretty much all health mods. There are a few other ones scattered, but he's pretty much just farmed health mods. Part of that is because of characters, right? You don't have all the characters yet in order to do all the challenges, right? And
no first order team, no resistance team. It's very sad.
Yeah. So when you're in a situation that you're still building your roster, there's nothing wrong with getting all of your health mods. It's usually either health or defense that people can do first. More so is health now because there aren't as many. There's not as much of a reason to do Jedi's as much. Or Jedi, sorry. I know Jedi is the plural of Jedi. So there's not as much of a reason to level up Jedi as much now. So Jedi have kind of fallen. So usually you're going to be left with the health mods. And health mods are still perfectly fine in Arena. It's, again, going to be based on your speed. So for your square mod, we'll put your Stormtrooper Han, your 13 from your Stormtrooper Han on your R2. You have the plus 11 from your veteran smuggler Chewie. That one you'll obviously need to level up to level 15, but then stick that onto your Thrawn. You have your HK-47. Again, it's a level 12 mod, so you'll want to level that up as well. And that one you can stick onto your Rex. The plus 7 that you have on your veteran smuggler Han, you can stick that onto your Darth Nihilus. And your Emperor Palpatine. Are you currently using... well, we can look through these now. So the next is all plus 5, and you have a good number of plus 5 mods. So we have a little bit of choice here on plus 5. With the plus 5, we are now looking at General Kenobi, right? So the other ones, we were really focusing on speed, so we wanted to make sure we got the fastest speeds. Now we kind of have a tie, and so now we're going to use the secondary stats as the tiebreaker. Now, some of these are level 12, some of these are level 15, but the secondary stats themselves are now set. Only the primary one will change. So we know now that this is going to go onto General Kenobi. So General Kenobi, you're looking in order for him to have survival. So the stats you're looking at and your secondary stats are going to be health, protection, defense, and tenacity. Those are the ones you're going to be looking to see how you can incorporate them into your squad. Now, this squad that you have doesn't have a lot in terms of healing, right? If you had a Zeta Barriss, you might be focusing more on health instead of protection, because obviously Barriss, with her unique, once a Zeta, improves the character by giving them healing based on their max health. So obviously health has a bigger impact. In your current arena squad, there isn't much in terms of healing. So you're looking for just overall survival. Just in looking at these particular mods, Cybershark, is there one in particular that kind of stands out to you as maybe being a little bit better than some of the other ones?
I'm thinking the one on Kanan that has the protection and tenacity.
Yeah, I think that's the one I was thinking of too. So I think we can move the mod off of Kanan onto your General Kenobi. Okay. And so I'm making notes on a little bit of on a piece of paper here, and we'll look at how much you're going to increase your character's speeds at the end of this. So I'm making a little note of what mods we're putting on what character. So once we've done the square, now we can go ahead and go to the diamond. So you just unclick the square, you click on the diamond, you apply the filter, and you kind of go through this again. So you have a plus 11 mod on Phasma that will throw onto your R2. You have a plus 8 on your your TIE Fighter pilot, and that one will stick onto your Thrawn. Now, this is always a question that we get. You have next as a plus 7 mod that's only 2 stars. And we get questions a lot as to whether or not we should use 2-dot mods, 1-dot mods. The answer is yes. There's no reason not to use it. It's mainly speed. Now, obviously, a 5-dot mod is going to be better. And Cybershark is actually in a situation where you have a bunch of other 7-speed mods, or plus 7 speed mods. So we have a few options here. So what we can do next, if you have some credit, Cybershark, is we can kind of level these to see what the secondaries are. But for anybody that maybe has a plus 7 and then doesn't have another plus 7 that they maybe have to use as a tiebreaker, feel free to use the 2-dot mods. There's nothing wrong with 2-dot mods. There's nothing wrong with 1-dot mods. You still get the full bonus in terms of the 2-piece or the 4-piece bonus. Your primary stat is going to be a little bit less, but if your characters go faster, that's going to be kind of the crucial part of your battle. So with that, we have your Geonosian soldier that has protection, potency, plus 7 speed, and critical chance. We have 3 characters left that we're looking at. We're looking at Rex, Nihilus, and Kenobi. And for all 3 of them, we're looking for something that provides some survival. So if you're able to go into your game, Cybershark, are you able to level these mods up to 12?
Working on it.
Okay.
The Chirpa one has offense, tenacity, and protection.
Okay, so Chirpa has offense, tenacity, and protection. Okay.
Where old Ben is. It's like buried.
For some reason, he's classified as a Jedi.
This is the dumb part. You know, I'm looking under Rebel when I should be looking under Jedi because there's a lot less of them.
Yeah, and he's still a. Don't know why he's a rebel.
Chance to old Ben.
What's that? What'd you get on old Ben?
Critical chance.
Critical chance. Okay. Then we have Chewie, Veteran Smuggler Chewie, and Veteran Smuggler Han.
Those guys. Any resistance?
No, they're not resistance. I think they're just scoundrels, if I remember correctly.
Oh, the scoundrels. There we go. Hate looking for people. It's like, where are they? The smuggler. So it adds potency and protection.
Which one? Chewie?
Hello.
Okay. So it was, what was it? Potency and protection? Okay. And then Chewie.
And Chewie. Protection and protection.
Protection and protection. Okay. So that one's going to be fairly tanky, and he has health as already a secondary stat. So just to review here, so the Chirpa one down here has speed plus offense, tenacity, and protection. The Chewy one has health, protection, protection. Han has tenacity plus potency and protection. Old Ben has critical chance in addition to that. So we're looking now to figure out what we want on the different characters. When we're looking at Mr. Rex, we're going to be trying to get some potency, I think, because he does have turn meter reduction, right? So the ones that have potency now are either Geonosian Soldier, Old Ben, or Veteran Smuggler Han. And it looks like, let's see, Old Ben has critical chance as his fourth. You get more survival with Veteran Smuggler Han. So I'm thinking for Veteran Smuggler Han, that one we put on Rex. What do you think?
Hold on a second. Let me find him again.
Mm-hmm. And this one's only 3-star, or 3-dot, but I think that your stats fit into what you're looking for with Rex a little bit better versus the crit chance that you're getting from Old Ben, especially.
Mm-hmm. Potency is only like 0.82%.
That's fine. I don't think that. So it's up to you. Do you face a lot of Zated Barris on your?
What?
Do you face a lot of Zated Barris on your arena shard?
That point yet. I face them very rarely.
Okay. So let's go with Old Ben then instead. So you'll get the potency, you'll get the tenacity. Instead of protection, you'll get critical chance. If you're not facing a lot of Zated Barris, the critical chance may help. So let's go with your Old Ben for your Rex.
If I like purposefully avoid fighting Zeta Zeris, does that count also?
Well, with your new squad now, you don't have to.
Okay, that's good to know.
If your new squad works properly, then you shouldn't have to. You can keep the damage onto your Kenobi. You'll be able to boost up your Nihilus. You can fracture Kenobi and then annihilate Zeris, and then everyone should start falling.
But yeah. On my alt account, when using Fracture against Zeris teams, is awesome because like they can't heal.
Mm-hmm. It's fantastic. All right, so we have your Old Ben's +7 speed sitting on now your Rex. Now we'll look at which one we want to put on your Nihilus. Your Nihilus, you again want something that's pretty beefy, one that gives you kind of a decent amount of survival. His Nihilus's survival is more critical than Rex. So that is why I was talking about the Veteran Smugglers and didn't go towards Chirpa. Chirpa gives offense, tenacity, and protection in addition to your 7 speed. I think that one would be a good one on your Nihilus.
Then we'll put the protection on GK?
Yeah. I think we can put your protection from your Veteran Smuggler Chewy on your GK.
To me?
Okay. So now we're kind of working down that left one here. So we've done your square, we've done your circle or your diamond. Now we'll go ahead and go to your circle. So again, go to your filters, you unclick your diamond, you go to your circle, and now we'll review your circle mods. So circle mods, you have a +11 speed on your Vader, which we'll go ahead and move to your R2. You have a +10, one that's on your Tarkin. You have another +10 that's on your Chirpa. And we have the next 2 characters being Thrawn and Rex. One of them has a little bit of potency, which is useful for Thrawn because you can get that speed up that then becomes an ability block. So looking at this, let's see, you get more protection with Chirpa by a good amount. You get less defense with Chirpa. So I think what I would do, and you can see if you agree with me here, I think I would put the Tarkin on Rex and I would put the Chirpa on your Thrawn.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking too, because I figured the potency would be useful, right?
Yeah. And there's use for it with Thrawn as well, but I think with Rex and his turn meter and kind of the number of times that he goes, I think it would be a little bit better. So I think we can move your Tarkin onto your Rex, and we'll move your Chirpa onto your Thrawn, and obviously make sure you level up your Chirpas 1 to 15 because it's currently 12. Then we have a +9 on your IG 100. That one needs to, it's only level 3, but so we definitely got to level that up to level 15, and that one can go onto your Nihilus.
It's funny, the other day when you were telling me look for IG 100, I'm like, what the heck is an IG 100? And I'm like looking around for it. It was great.
IG 100 is pretty good. He's not as useful. I'm hoping there's a Separatist rework or a droid rework, and he would definitely be one of them that I think would get a lot of play, actually.
If I could get Grievous to be awesome, I'd be so happy.
I think everyone would. Okay, so now we have the last one, which is for Kenobi. You have 3 + 8 mods. One of them isn't leveled, so would you be able to level up Poggle up to level 12? His circle mod?
A lot of credits, because I'm a hoarder.
Yes. You had way too many credits. We will use them all.
Are those guys wondering? It's kind of ridiculous. It made me spend $51 million the other day. It broke my heart. I cried for like 3 days straight.
You have so many better characters now. You know it.
I know, I do. Yeah, I have tons of guys to choose from now in GW, but it's like, oh, okay. It's protection and offense.
What were the 3? I heard protection, offense, and
defense.
And defense. Okay. So we have with TIE Fighter Pilot, we have potency, defense, and critical chance. With Maul, we have 2 offenses and a defense. And with Poggle, we have protection, offense, and defense. So which one would you want on your Kenobi?
I would assume the one with the protection and defense.
Yeah. I'm tending to go with the one you just leveled. So I think we can move the Poggle onto your Kenobi. Okay. So now we'll go ahead and go to the arrow mods. And we looked earlier at this. So for the arrow mod, remember that what you're looking for is a speed primary. And the one thing with Cybershark is he only has 4 arrows with speed primaries. So what we'll need to make sure is that we distribute these accordingly, again, based on what we figured out as the speeds, which ones we want faster, as well as looking at the secondaries. So with this one, you have your R2, right? R2, the main thing you're looking for is +30. He has some need for potency, obviously, because he does stuns. But overall, you want him to be able to survive. He does, out of the 3 that we're looking at now that will get these +30 speed mods, between R2, Grand Admiral Thrawn, and Rex, R2 is probably going to end up doing the most damage. So I think the one that is maybe a little bit more offensive focused may be better on R2. So just looking at these, it looks like the one that's maybe a little bit more offensive focused is the one that's currently on Kenobi. That seem right to you?
One that's on GK?
Yeah. So I think we'll move the 30 speed from Kenobi onto your R2. You have the one with some potency on it, on Vader. I think that one can go to your Rex, so then your Kylo can go to your Grand Admiral Thrawn. You only have one other one left with the speed primary is +21 speed on your 5s. So that one will move onto your Nihilus.
We'll probably find some kind of like protection triangle or a protection arrow for GK or something.
So that's the next thing, right? So now if you don't have any other speed primaries, what you can do is try and figure out whether or not it is worth it to put a speed secondary onto a character, or whether it is better to put just something based on your primary stat. So what we'll do is we'll keep the arrow clicked and we'll go to your speed secondary. Now I saw that one on Tebow earlier that had plus 13 speed. So that one is not a bad mod actually at all for Kenobi. He'll be taunting, he'll be giving everyone else crit avoidance, then you'll be getting crit avoidance, so you'll be taking less damage on Kenobi. You don't have a Barris, so it's not going to matter that you're avoiding crit. So the Tebow one is actually fairly nice. So we'll keep that one kind of in our reference. So you have a plus 13 speed crit avoidance mod. The other thing we'll look for is any other mod that may be based on primary stats that may be useful. So if we go back to your filters, looking at this list, all you have to do is click on the primary stats that could be useful for Kenobi. So we're looking at defense, we're looking at tenacity, we're looking at protection. Now, not all of these are going to be available on an arrow mod, but there's no harm in clicking them because it'll just show up on the actual results page. So we're looking at tenacity, defense, protection, and crit avoidance. And so when we go to the list now, you have one with 9 speed instead of 13 with crit avoidance. That's currently on Emperor Palpatine. You have one on Boba Fett that gives you a lot of protection. It has crit chance and offense. You have one very defense-focused one on your TIE Fighter pilot, which is 11.75 defense as your primary, as well as 2 protections and a health and a potency. You have another one that's very defense-oriented again on your Jedi Consular. So you got health, protection, defense, offense. You got another one that's on your bays with plus 5 speed with double health and potency. And let's see. So you have a few of them here that are fairly decent. Do any of these kind of strike you as the one that you want to put on your Kenobi?
Looking for one that kind of has like a bunch of protection and health. Oh, what about that one that's on Ahsoka?
Okay, so you got 24% crit avoidance. You have a little bit of offense, but you have 546 protection percentage. So if you're looking for something specific like that, so I'm glad you brought that up, let's go to your filters and then add those as other filters. So now it'll show you all of those, right? So we can put both protections and see what mods you have that have protection primary and protection secondary. So you have these two in particular. So you have the one that's on TIE Fighter pilot, and the one that's on Ahsoka. With TIE Fighter pilot, you have health. You have 811 protection versus 546 protection. A little bit more percentage on this end. A little less health on TIE Fighter. You get some potency versus a little bit of offense. And you get defense instead of crit avoidance.
I've always been under the impression that defense is not a great stat. So between the two, the crit avoidance is probably better.
So defense isn't bad. It just depends on the character that you're using. Defense has diminishing returns. So if you're using it on a tankier character, so for example, like Kenobi, the impact of defense on that character is going to be worse than a character that's kind of squishy and doesn't have a lot of defense. So like OG Han, for example. So if you compare the two and you put a defense mod or defense percentage on them, Kenobi will end up getting less armor reduction than what OG Han will get just from that one mod, even though the total armor reduction will still be higher on Kenobi. So that's essentially what you're kind of distinguishing between. I'm fine with going against crit avoidance. If you don't have a Barris, then it's actually a good thing to try and avoid being crit. So I think that may actually help you in the long run, especially since I believe you said you're facing teams that do a lot of crit, right? Like a CLS team with OG Han or Zeta Maul teams, right?
Yeah, for sure. I pretty much if I see CLS, I've been avoiding them, and I try to avoid Zeta Maul unless I have to. And I would say most of the time when I fight them, I end up losing.
Okay. So in that case, you may be better off with the Ahsoka one. Now, the one thing to keep in mind also is that you do have the Rex ability at play. So Rex is unique is that whenever an ally gets crit, then Rex will gain 15% turn meter, and all other allies will gain 7.5%. So there is still a benefit for your team being crit. So it's not healing per se, but it is going to be the turn meter reduction that will help your squad kind of keep going faster and faster as Maul ends up critting or the rest of the team ends up critting. You do take less damage, obviously, with that. So it's up to you.
That kind of brings an interesting point. So, like, you know, you gain TM based on being critted, but then you kind of want GK to survive, and you want him kind of slower because you want him to keep tanking, right? So
that's where defense is awesome.
Okay.
So defense is like perfect for that scenario because it reduces the total amount that you take from critical damage, but it doesn't negate the fact that you're taking a crit damage shot, which allows you to gain turn meter. Right. Now, you obviously don't want to get too many crits because then you can essentially die. But if you're taking it, you can reduce it with defense, so defense does help in this scenario.
Yeah, so we kind of help like the whole team, like 4 guys, instead of crit avoidance helping only 1 guy, essentially, here. T1 probably is a better choice then.
Okay. So we will go with your TIE Fighter pilot. It doesn't have any speed. So let's go ahead and look to see if you have any other defense-based mods. And let's see if you have any with the speed secondary. So I made the primary stat defense, and I made the secondary stat speed. So let's see if you have any of those. And you do have a couple here. So you have one on Lando that gives 10 speed with 375 protection. It is a crit chance set, though. So it's going to be a different set than probably any of your other sets. You have a +3 speed on your Leia. You have a +3 speed on your Dachka. +3 speed on your Jawa Engineer. And you have a +3 on your Grievous. And your Grievous one actually has protection and health, but doesn't have plus protection. It just has percentage. Let's check if you have any other...
Actually, protection as a primary stat as well?
You can have protection. Okay, yeah, we'll look at that here. So protection as a secondary stat in terms of plus. With defense, that's your only one. And protection as a primary stat. You have your Boba Fett. You have your Baze. You have your R2. Have your Sunfac. Sunfac is very defensive-ish with his secondaries. You have OG Han, and you have Snowtrooper. And Snowtroopers isn't leveled, and that one's also a potency. So probably not going to touch that one.
Right. So we got a couple choices here. So we got the one that's on... Is that on Sunfac? Yeah, Sunfac. We got solos and we got TFPs.
Yeah.
As like options, right?
So which one are you kind of leaning towards now? I think honestly the solo one is probably the worst of the bunch.
So yeah. Not that big a deal. So
it depends actually. You haven't leveled this one up. So it depends on what the 4th one is actually. Do you want to level up OG Han's arrow and see what the 4th stat is?
Game crashed again. OS 11 has killed my Star Wars. It's terrible.
And I'm trying to monitor the chat here, so if you guys have any questions, just feel free to throw them in there. This is primarily just mod-based, so we're looking at mod questions. We've gone through some of the basics about modding, so if you guys want to go to the beginning of the video, you'll just hear kind of the basics of modding. We're going through his roster now specifically, and so it's going to take a little bit longer, obviously, than just a quick one, but when you're going through it, what we want to do is just kind of show you why we're picking particular mods, what is the thought process in order to do it, so then you can kind of do it on your own, and it becomes a lot easier once you know why you're doing each of these moves with the different mods. So speed is obviously still king, and then you're looking at other stats. Go ahead, Cyber.
Was it?
What was your? Did you level up the arrow on Ojihan?
It's a health percent.
Health percent. Okay. I was hoping for a percent protection plus, but it was a health percent. Okay. So, I mean, it's up to you, whichever one hits you the most, and you can always change it around. I think you know which ones are the ones you're looking at. I think it's between Sunfac and TIE Fighter Pilot.
It'll probably be one of those two, because like I'm assuming breaking the health bonus on it is probably not so good because he has a tank.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you'll want to try and keep that health bonus at a minimum because you don't have too many other bonuses going on here. If you had a defense set, it might work out well as well, but since your mods are primarily health, we'll just kind of deal with that. So.
Gotcha. So it'll be either TFP or Sunfac. We can make a decision later.
Okay, so I'll just make a note here: TFP or Funsec. Okay.
So I don't have actual speed, but so that's good.
So next we'll look at your triangle. So again, click on the triangle mod, go to your speed secondaries. These ones will have variations in the primary speed, the primary stats. There's a lot of variation actually on those. So you want to kind of just keep that in mind as you're going through. Speed is still going to be key. So for your R2, you have that really nice 19 speed on your Cassian that we'll throw onto your R2.
Is it an issue that it's not a health mod?
So it can be, but you still want to focus on speed more than anything, and especially since R2 isn't a tank, it should be okay. You'll have to see how it works out, but getting your characters faster is more important than the set bonus. Usually, not 100%, but more likely than not, the speed of the character is going to be more important. So I think for R2, especially with the difference of 6 speed that you're getting if you go down a mod, I think it's fine that you're using a crit chance. You have your plus 13 TFP that we'll put onto your Thrawn. You have plus 9 with a really large protection plus stat, which is nice, which can go onto your Rex. So your Rex can get some nice survival there. Off your Snowtrooper. You have 2 plus 6 mods. One is a health primary, one is an offense primary. Let's see. Your overall health on that one is lower, but you get 1.53 versus 5.88. You get a little bit more offense on your Akbar. You can potentially go down a little bit on your Kenobi. So you don't need to put one of the plus 6s. You can put a plus 5 or plus 4 potentially, because he's going to be a little bit slower anyways, because your mods aren't as high overall. So of the two, between Akbar and Lando, which one would you want to put on your Nihilus?
If you compare, like, say, Lando's, because I was looking for more, like, protection, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or actually, I guess both. But if you look at, like, the one that's on Nihilus right now, it actually has a large amount of protection already. Is that better than extra 1 speed I would get?
So it depends a little bit on your shard. Same thing like we're saying with Kenobi, you can do with Nihilus. Nihilus is going to get his speed primarily at the beginning from Thrawn. So I don't think there's anything wrong with picking one of the lesser ones, actually, instead of the plus 6. I think for your other 3 characters, your R2, your Thrawn, and your Rex, the speed is going to be more important. For your Nihilus, I don't think that 1 or 2 speed at this point is going to kill you. We've maxed them out in the other spots. So I'm okay with you going down 1 or 2
actually,
speed.
in reality, protection on GK, right?
Yeah, you want protection on GK. You have some other protection primaries too, like on your Palpatine as well.
Right, but then you get a little even slower.
But your Kenobi's already kind of slow. So
okay.
Let's see. These are 3, so I don't think you want to go down quite to 3. So we'll stay at 4s here because it's 6 to 4. You got a couple of drop here, but you have, yeah. I mean, your Nihilus has a good protection one. You could potentially put one of the +6s onto your Kenobi if you wanted to, but these aren't very defense oriented.
Right.
Your one on
Probably makes sense to
Palpatine
move
isn't bad. Because you get double protection.
Okay.
You get the protection primary, and you get the plus protection as a secondary.
Right.
So I think if we keep your Nihilus the same, so he keeps your +5 mod, and we put the Emperor Palpatine on Kenobi, I think that's a fairly decent change for you.
Yeah, because I mean, Nihilus, the offense between that one and the one on Lando is not. Well, I guess it's like 10 times offense.
And remember that it's not. You're not looking too much at offense, right? Nihilus's main purpose is to try and go fast and get the Annihilate up. He does damage, but he's really actually more tanky than anything. So getting his tankiness up will help. Kenobi also is a tank. He has some utility, but his utility comes with getting lead the charge, getting the others to attack, and doing the damage. Thrawn is a utility character. Your team is actually highly utility based. Just looking at what it is overall. R2 is going to be stealthing the crew in order to prevent anyone besides Kenobi from getting attacked, right? Thrawn is going to be doing his basic attack to get the speed up and then the ability block, as well as the turn meter gain that can give Kenobi protection later on. Initially is to get Nihilus to go earlier. Rex is going to be turn meter, tenacity up. Nihilus is going to be trying to go fast in order to get Annihilate. Kenobi is going to be tanky. So you don't have that pure attacker. You don't have that Chirrut. You don't have that Commander Luke. You don't have that Ezra. So it provides you actually a little bit more leeway on your mods to not focus on offense. So I think it's actually a good thing. Especially since, obviously, you're still working on your mods. You're farming some, but it's still kind of limited. I think the squad of being highly utility is actually a benefit for you in this case.
Gotcha.
So we can leave the Nihilus on Nihilus. We'll move the Emperor Palpatine to Kenobi. And I think that puts you in a good spot there. So we have one spot left, which is your plus sign. So looking at your plus signs. So your plus signs are still a little bit lower. They're not awful. They're just a little bit lower. +8 is a good kind of starter mod. For where you're building, you want to obviously try and keep on pushing that one up, so hopefully you can get a double digit. All your other ones on your R2 are double digit except for this one. So your R2 is going to gain some pretty good speed here. So we're looking at 8 speed, 1 to go on Nihilus, 1 to go onto R2. Does one strike you as a little bit better than the other?
I'm assuming the more defensive one on Nihilus, and then which is
not Nihilus. We're looking at a Thrawn and R2.
Looking at potency.
So my initial thinking would be the Jedi Consular to go onto R2 because of the offense. I think your R2 will end up doing more damage than your Thrawn overall, because Thrawn's going to be using more of his specials with his fracture and that kind of stuff. So I think you might be better off putting your Jedi Consular, which is slightly more offensive because of the offensive primary. I think that one may be better on your R2. That make sense?
Sense to me.
Okay. So we'll move your Jedi Consular Plus onto your R2. So that moves your 8 speed from your Emperor Palpatine onto your Thrawn. So now we're looking at Rex. We have a few +5 mods here. Would you be able to level up your Stormtrooper Han plus sign to level 12? So Cybershark will help us figure out what the other 2 stats are on that one. We're looking at one with a health primary, one with a defense, and one with an offense primary.
So Stormtrooper Han has plus defense and then plus tenacity.
Plus defense and plus tenacity. Okay.
like 9 defense.
Okay. Yeah, it's not a lot, but
I know. I'm like,
yeah, they
that's
don't.
small.
I mean, your Emperor Palpatine's only has +6 defense too, so it happens. So, in terms of what we're looking at, then you have. Let's see. So you have a plus defense, 5 +5 speed with the protection primary or protection, health, and tenacity. So I think leaving that +5 on Kenobi is a good idea. You agree?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay, so we'll leave that 5 on Kenobi. We're jumping out of order here. We still have to do Rex and Nihilus, but this one is very defensive. It fits Kenobi well. So we'll leave that one. You have one with the health primary. You have one with an offense primary. We're dealing with Rex and Nihilus. Nihilus, in particular, just needs survival. He can do some damage. Again, he's not a major damage dealer. You still want him to be kind of fast, so I think I would go with Royal Guards onto Nihilus.
I was thinking too.
Okay, so we'll move Royal Guards onto Nihilus. And now we're looking at Rex. We have the +5 with potency, defense, and tenacity on Stormtrooper Han that we can potentially move. But Rex is also a character that has the turn meter removal, which can also be very useful. So the potency on him can potentially help. He also, you don't want him to be ability block because he can dispel and he can give people turn meter. So we're just looking at some of the other potential +4 mods just to see if there's anything else that kind of can fit the bill here for what we're looking for. There is the one that is on Dachka that is protection primary with defense, speed, potency, and the ability for one other stat. So would you be able to level Dachka up to level 12?
Let me figure out where my Jawas are. Kind of small, you know, they're hard to find sometimes.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. We have offense, 0.4%.
Okay. I think I would probably put that one onto Rex. You might lose 1 speed, but I think your overall survival of Rex is going to be a little bit better, and he isn't the most tanky of characters, so I think anything for his survival will be beneficial. He gets 1.4% potency with that mod. There is the one also on HK47 that gives 1.46% potency, but it's more tenacity. I kind of like the protection on him, so I think I would go with Dachka. What do you think?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I feel like Rex dies really easily, and it's kind of really sad.
Yeah. You need him mainly for his leader ability. Once his leader ability is there, you get kind of the nice ability where he'll gain turn meter. Well, everyone will gain turn meter on a crit, so
Right.
it's nice.
Assist through that.
Yeah. So we'll move the Dachka onto your Rex. So that's basically now all 6 mods on all of your characters. So what we'll do now is just to compare. Have you did you mod the characters as we were going, or just making notes, Cyber?
I was just taking notes. I can go through and move them if you want.
Oh, you don't have to. So we'll go through your characters here, and let's just see how much it's going to change. So actually, let's look at what the speeds are of your current characters on your arena squad, and then we'll kind of see what your new arena squad will look like. So with your current squad, with your Wedge, Biggs, Kenobi, Kylo, so your Wedge currently has a speed. Where's his speed? There's speed. So his Wedge's speed is 115, and from mods, you have +5 speed. Okay, so then next one is going to be your Wedge. So your Wedge has 118 speed with
Big,
plus
right?
10 speed. For mods. So I think you can see as we're going through this, like your characters weren't given a lot of speed mods.
Oh, not at all. It's like putting on one of the mods like double the amount of speed I had.
Your Kenobi has 166 speed with plus 39 speed. So he at least had a little bit here. Then we have...
I don't know why he's so fast.
We have
because
your...
mods off of Stormtrooper Han.
Yeah. And Stormtrooper Han, if you're using him, you definitely need him to be as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Your Kylo is at 158 with plus 30 speed.
He was modded for both Arena and also for Phase 1 of the tank.
Gotcha. And then lastly, your Darth Nihilus is at 139 speed with 19 speed. Okay, so we kind of have an idea now about where your speeds were beforehand. So now let's look at your new arena lineup, which will be Rex Lead with General Kenobi, R2, Grand Admiral Thrawn, and Darth Nihilus, and let's see how much of a difference we'll get here. So let's start with your Rex. Let me find your Rex here. Okay, so there's your Rex. Your Rex currently has a speed of 133. His current speed from mods is 12. So that means your base speed on your Rex right now is 121. And from your mods that we're putting on Rex, we will be giving him, let's see, so 15, 25, 39, 4, 43. So he will be getting plus 68 speed.
Oh.
So your Rex, once you mod him, should have a speed of 189.
That's pretty good.
Oh, wait till you get to your R2.
And that's my third fastest character.
Mm-hmm. So next, let's go to your General Kenobi. So General Kenobi, we already know he has 166 speed. He has 39 from mods. So that means his base is 127. And we are giving him, see, 15, 20, 29. So his speed is going to go down a little bit. We're giving him 29 speed. So instead of 166, he's going to be 156 now. But that's our intended, right? We're trying to make him just a little bit slower because the other ones get a little bit more priority. So next we'll go to your R2. So your R2 has a speed currently of 156. From your mods, you have 5 speed. So that means his base right now is 151. So your R2 is pretty much close, is fairly close to maximum. I think 154 is the max, or 157. So your R2 is fairly close. Now, let's see how much you're giving him from his mods that we're going to put onto him. So 24 plus 11, so 35 on this side. 30, 49, 8, 57.
I think he's just missing a few pieces of gear for G12 right now.
Okay.
Something about that.
So your R2 will be getting plus 92 speed from your mods. So your R2 should have a speed of 243.
Oh.
Surprised by how good your mods actually are?
That's really good.
I'm telling you, you have the mods. You have to go through them and find the ones to put on there.
It's always funny, you know, it's like Loki's like, oh yeah, 280, it's like no big deal. And I'm like, I can't even get to 200. What the heck is he talking about? 280 is no big deal.
That's because Loki's ridiculous. Loki, I mean, obviously if you're a whale, you have all the extra time in order to farm mods. You don't have to farm anything in Cantina, so you can keep pushing it and trying to get the RNG. It's hard, though, to get the quality of mods, because it really is just kind of a luck type thing. All right, absolutely. Your Grand Admiral Thrawn currently has a 154 speed. And from your stats, you have +4 speed. So his speed is 150. So your Thrawn is pretty much done in terms of how much he's going to get from gear at this point. You still obviously need to gear him up a little bit more. But from the mods that you're going to be putting on him, 19, 20, 30, 60, 73, 81. Your Thrawn should get +81 speed. So your Thrawn should be 231 speed.
Oh. 2 guys over 200.
Mm-hmm. And then lastly, we will go to your Thrawn, or your Nihilus. So Nihilus we know is 139 base speed with 19 from mods. So that means you'll have a 120 speed without mods. And then with the mods that you're giving him, so 14, so 23, 21, 44, plus 10, 54. So Nihilus is going to get +54 speed. So your Nihilus should be at 174.
Fast too.
So your squad, let me see if I can just put it up here in text. I haven't used the text function here in a little while. Alright, font is fine. See if this works. I think the text is too big. How do I make the text small? Okay, this isn't going to work. I tried. Yeah, I don't have the thing in order to type it here, which is annoying. But in any case, your previous squad had a Wedge of 115, a Biggs of 118, a General Kenobi of 166, a Kylo of 158, and a Nihilus of 139. And with these changes, as we went through your mods, your Rex will be your lead with 189. Your Kenobi will also be on the team, 156. Your R2 should be 243. Your Thrawn should be 231. And your Nihilus should be 174. So your lowest character on your new squad is 156, which was your General Kenobi. Your highest character on your old squad was your General Kenobi at 166. So 10 speed lower is now your slowest versus your previous high.
That's awesome.
So that's essentially how everyone should be doing their mods. It does take a little bit of time. Obviously, I was explaining things along with you guys and explaining it to Cybershark as well. So it took a little bit longer. But when you guys get into the process of how to look at your mods, what you're looking for, different characters, trying to figure out the order of your squad, how are you trying to get them to actually work. So we went through this. We wanted R2 to be the fastest so he could get stealth on everyone so nobody else would be attacked except for Kenobi. We wanted to get Kenobi tanky. We wanted Thrawn to be the next fastest so he can give turn meter to Darth Nihilus. Once he does that, Darth Nihilus will go. So then we want Rex to go in order to boost turn meter, right? So then Rex becomes our third fastest. Then we have Nihilus going, and then it kind of works through the sequence. It's a good idea to make sure you know what the sequence is that you want for your arena squad, why you're putting that squad together, what are the things they're looking for. We went through the fact that Rex lead, once you get crit, gives you turn meter. So crit avoidance may not be the best primary stat for a character like Kenobi. It does reduce damage, but defense may end up serving a better purpose. So it's stuff like that that when you're going through your mods, you want to make sure you're looking at. Obviously, this can get a lot more complicated. So this is kind of just the 101 course. If you talk to Grande, he's going to go a lot more in-depth. So that's more like the advanced PhD course. I just wanted to do a 101 course for people because there is a lot going on with mods now, especially with kind of a stale meta. You're getting some mods from the Night Sister events and from other events like that. If you're starting to farm mods, you'll have to change your squads a little bit. So I hope this was helpful. Do you have any questions on your side, Cyber?
No, I'm very, very happy. Thank you very much for it. I appreciate it so much because it's been a struggle, trying to figure out where to put everything. So Finn, just know you're like the best and you rock. And remember your Grande Patron's beard. So, Grande Patron's here,
Yes. I still feel bad. Grande Patron's beard just feels so lonely. It doesn't have a warm face to hug up against anymore. So I have to take ownership. Give him a home.
Exactly. He's got to have some contribution. He doesn't get to be on the show anymore,
Yeah, I know. Eventually, I think, I would like it to be back, but I'm going to be overruled by his wife, and that's not a battle I'm going to win. So I know my limitations there. so that's essentially it for mods. Keep us up to date with how you're doing, Cybershark. In Arena, how the battles are going. Are they a little bit easier? Obviously, you're going to have to work a little bit to making sure you know kind of how your team works and how you want the attacks to go. But I think you have a solid squad there. Obviously, needs a little bit more of gearing on certain characters like Rex. But I think you're in a good spot now moving forward.
Yeah, thank you very much, Finn. You rock, dude.
All right, and on that, we will go ahead and end the stream. If you guys have any questions on anything, go ahead and go to the RSG Discord. The link is in the description of this video. For those of you guys that are waiting for roster reviews, just as a heads up, I do plan on getting to those very, very soon. More likely than not, kind of in the weeks between Thanksgiving and December. They may not all be posted onto YouTube, just so you know. I may record them and just give them to the people that are waiting so we can kind of speed that up. So just be on the lookout for those. There probably will be some posted on YouTube, but a lot of them will just be given to the individual players because I know a lot of them have been waiting. So we apologize. It's just been very, very time consuming lately between school and work and a lot of different other things going on. So we will be getting to them. We haven't forgotten about it. So roster reviews should be on the way here in a little while. And again, if you have any questions, hop on to the RSG Discord. I am Finity with Reality Skewed Gamers. This was the Modding 101 video with Cybershark. We'll follow his progress. And that's it for this video. So I am signing out.